know we're supposed to be getting to know our audience a little bit. How many of you are system administrators or programmers? How many of you are like department administrators? Okay. Both, huh? You get departments and systems to administer, right? What about librarians, or not to all go into a separate category, but we're trying to gauge what all of this. What other people do we have here? What job titles? Associate deans or chief information officers? General IT manager? We're trying to figure out how geeky to get with this presentation. So, we won't get tremendously.
Only 6 CLAs left.
I think you will.
You say CLA, then
Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started.
Does the recording start automatically at 1 or what time? So the recording is on. Okay.
Hi, my name is Chris Heaton. I'm an instructional services specialist at Georgia State University College of Law. And this is our amazing and great website coordinator. I can't call him a webmaster. And he'll tell you why I can't call him a webmaster.
I don't master anything, especially not the web.
So anyways, what we were trying to do, our classrooms, the way we had things set up in the past, we don't have a central control room. A lot of other schools do. So we have our classrooms separate, and we have our ways of trying to manage them. But we had this hodgepodge kind of chaos going on with inspection and inventory documentation on one place, the end user documentation another place, and we wanted to try to bring all these pieces together. So that's what Earl has done for us with the Classroom Tracker system. And it's basically PHP, MySQL. It's not anything super fancy. It's very simple. It's easy to customize. What we're going to show you is just a skeleton, so you can slap style sheets, do whatever you want to customize it, make it better. The only issue we're having right now is waiting for a response from University Legal, which as of like 11, we still haven't heard back from them yet.
We're anticipating we will be able to release the source code. I've already set up the SourceForge site, and we'll, discuss maybe where we might go with the system if anybody's interested in moving forward with it.
So what we did is we took our inventory system. We have two major parts of this. We have the public-facing pages, which is what our end user sees, and then we have the pages that our tech staff and our support people see. And this is the public-facing pages. We wanted to find a way that as we added new equipment into the room with help documentation and everything else, we could instantly update the public-facing pages. So that way we weren't having to channel content to different places. Like, okay, we're going to update it here and update it there. We wanted to put everything in one place and have it channel out to multiple audiences. So the public-facing pages have status indicators, so our faculty or guest speakers, anyone who's student organizations, anyone who's using the rooms for presentations can quickly and easily see if we're having a problem in one of the rooms, so there's no surprises later. Like, for example, here we've got a DVD VCR remote that's missing. These things happen instantaneously. As soon as our classroom support folks go in and inspect the room, they log into a web form, they inspect everything in the room, and when they hit submit, it goes out and automatically updates the public-facing pages, so they don't need to know Dreamweaver or any type of web editing software. So the other issue that was really important to us is we wanted to make sure that as we were tying all these pieces together that the format did go out meeting 508 accessibility standards. And Earl is our 508 accessibility pit bull, so I will let him answer any questions you have about that. So there are 4 pieces. As I was saying before, we've tied inventory, inspection forms, reporting, and a way to get the help links linked in for the end users. So ignore a very old picture of a document camera in one of our courtroom podiums, but anytime we add in a new piece of equipment, we log into one place, and we have a room list and an equipment type list. And I guess I'll go ahead and bring that up now. And again, we didn't spend any time on the back end of this system because we figured if somebody wanted to use it, they'll go ahead and modify it the way they want to.
This is the Google School of Design.
So we have a page that lists our rooms, and we can go in and we can conduct an inspection, which here I'll go into that in a little bit. We can edit what's in the room. Like this is a list of items. Every time we want to put in a new item that we know we're going to put in, say, 5 of our classrooms, or if we can, put it in all of our classrooms, we scroll all the way down to the bottom of our list, and we can add in a new item. What's nice about this is you can put in the type, and once you have put the item in, like say for example we were going to add those turning point, the CPS or turning point receivers, we wanted to put those in all our podiums. We could add that item here and then go back into each room and associate that item with the classroom. And when we associate the item with the classroom, we can put in, so there's comments fields, so you can actually put in serial numbers, warranty information when things are going to expire, your life cycle information, any type of special information about that particular unit that you're putting in the room. Like if it's we try to stick to room templates. I'm sure most of you understand that it's so important to have some standardization between your rooms, otherwise it's really hard to train your end users, which is where I'm coming from. But from the maintenance side of the house, it's so much easier with a templated system. So you can actually, if you have something that's non-standard, you can annotate that on the room.
So this is the item. So we would set up each individual kind of item that we have, and we can also categorize the items. It automatically adds, if you type something in the item type, it would automatically update this list. And we'll show you the screen in a moment where we actually tie the items into the room, and that's where those comments and serial numbers and all that go in. This is general information for a particular item, including telling we use graduate assistants to staff our help desk, and they also have a certain number of rooms that they inspect. And so the instructions to the GRAs would go right here on how to inspect that item, what has to be done with that item.
And then you can add any links if you've made any type of just HTML pages, PDFs, or if you've got Captivate demos, whatever you want to show, videos, you can link those in.
Right, because each item would have its own instructions for the end user, and the URL of the help page for that item would go in this slot right here.
So here's our list of rooms. If I want to edit a room, like say I'm going to edit this one, I would go in and just add in the equipment type of what I just added. And again, we did not bother doing any style sheets for this back end. You can make the boxes this big if you want. You can put pretty pictures, whatever you want to do. But we just set it up this way for us because it met our needs. So you can add the different items in, and once you hit Save Room, it automatically updates the actual classroom page. So your new item would then display on the public-facing pages with the link to the help item on how to use that particular item. Showing them how to access the internet or whatever you want to add in. So the idea, again, was to just make sure that we were getting all the inventory information updated in one place and pushing that to multiple audiences, end users, support staff, administration, if they want to know what's going on in the rooms. So with the inspection, which we kind of talked about that really briefly, when our GRAs are going to conduct inspections, and you may have regular dedicated staff that go in and check all the equipment in your rooms in a particular rotation, one of the things that they can do is they literally physically go to the room. When they start inspecting, they just bring up the web form and they start annotating things as they find it. Let me bring up that. Let's go to the library conference room. Let's go there. When they want to inspect it, they just check the inspection icon. And Earl and I are ex-Air Force flight line weenies, so you'll find red X's everywhere. Red X's. We didn't do the slashes though. So, but we also use the term discrepancy. We don't have problems in the rooms. We have discrepancies. So you can go in and, like, there's my name up there. The student would go through, mark whether the room in general was okay. If it was down, if they found something that was, a major issue, like the projector was not responding at all, or there was flood damage, you name it, leaks, whatever, something that made the room unusable, they could mark that, or just give a cautionary note, the warning symbol for, well, there's a problem in here, it's not serious, you can still use the room. And again, they have space to put everything in. We put 2 columns because we're having problems with students not remembering that when they're putting comments in, they'd have an internal comment they would want to pass on to their supervisor who's managing all our classroom support GRAs. So they would put that, and it's like, oh, that's going out of the public-facing pages. So we made a special area where they could put private comments and pull those up in a separate report. It also has special instructions, the inspection instructions that we were showing on the one form showing you how you could add the item in. You can hyperlink there as well, put other special, how to correct a image shift on a projector, those kinds of things, just special instructions for them when they're going through the room.
You may have noticed 2 different colors of green here. That's one of the issues right at the moment that's not highly accessible. That's something I'm trying to figure out another way to cue people in. But the dark green means that that particular item shows up on the public-facing status page. So we don't put everything that gets inspected doesn't show up on the public page. So the light green are items we want them to inspect, but these comments will not show up on the public-facing page. These comments will, and the status indicator.
And so once they've conducted that inspection for the room, we have crew chiefs for every room. They're assigned. There's particular rooms they have to be responsible for. They just save the inspection, and it automatically updates on the pages. So then what comes in handy, really handy for our classroom support manager and also our sysadmin, is the reporting feature, which, again, these are just basic reports being pulled up. But what's nice is when he comes in Monday morning at 8:30, he can pull up a report and get a complete list of the status of what's broken in all the rooms. Again, some folks may be a little hesitant. I guess it just depends on your organization. No one likes to say, okay, well, we have a lot of stuff broken in our rooms, and it's out on the public website so everyone can see. But from a training perspective, if you've ever had a faculty member that has been burned by technology more than once, you know what a battle it is to try to get them to use it again. So we felt that it was more important to let them know they can check before they go in the classroom, let them know right away, instantaneously, that, oh wait, I spent all this time preparing this and I wanted to show this, and a particular piece of equipment is out. They know right then, so they can either contact us and we'll help them with another way to use the technology in the room, or move them to a different room. So that way they feel a little bit more confident about it.
This particular report was actually intended for a director of the technology section, or an assistant dean or associate dean. And it does show everything, what's on the public pages and what's not on the public pages as well.
Like, here's where we're at right now. So you can see all our rooms, and you can see where we've had some items that haven't been tested. We're pretty good at getting the GRAs to report that when they're like, well, I don't have time, I didn't test it.
This also shows the date and time of the last inspection of that room, so you can kind of keep a track on, how active are they being in inspecting the rooms. We decided not to put the time and date on the public pages. It could easily be done, but it doesn't inspire confidence if a professor looks and it's been 2 weeks since the room is listed as having been inspected.
So then, getting back to the help link issue, so you can see the different reports. There are other types of reports. Do you want me to pull up some of these?
There's a report that shows every single line of every inspection. When in an inspection page where we had the 3 radio buttons and then the comments, we have a report that shows every inspection line, and that can actually be pulled down into Excel if you want to do some sort of analysis on it or something like that.
And it just comes in handy again for planning purposes, because then when you start your day and you've got a lot of fires to put out, it's nice to be able to know what's going on in the classrooms right away when you walk in. So then getting back to the help link issue, this was something that was near and dear to my heart, was being able to pull all our documentation from different sources. We had flip books, we had web pages, and the web pages were the most current. But what's nice about this system is we can add in more help. One of the things that we made sure to do on all our pages, let me bring up a room, is we wanted to make sure that we had on every page where they can get technology help. Also, if they wanted to book the room, a link to book the room so they can actually explore rooms first, get the seating chart, and then we gave them 3 different views of the room so they can see before they actually have to go in. This is especially useful for our adjuncts when we get a lot of new litigation adjuncts coming in. And also any guest speakers or conferences. It comes in handy because they can see in advance where they're going to speak, what the room looks like, and what they can expect, what equipment is available. So again, I was talking a little earlier about the importance of trying to get your end users more comfortable with the technology, because again, nobody likes to get up in front of their class and look like they don't know what they're doing. It's just the worst feeling in the world. So I have the ARCS model here from Keller, but that seems to be the best approach. Make sure that when you're channeling all this information out to your audience, that you make sure that you're getting their attention and that it's relevant, that they can see it's important to them and that it's going to make a difference in all their preparations for class and how they conduct their class. And ultimately, it builds confidence in using the technology, and it gives them a little bit more satisfaction that they're able to use it successfully in class and not have to do a lot of winging it.
Looking a little bit about the Geek part. So those of you that don't want the Geek details, you can take a nap now. We'll wake you up when you're done. It runs on a LAMP server. We're an all open source shop for our web services, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. It probably would run on a Windows server that runs the MySQL and PHP and Apache, but it's not. I've not tested it on that in that environment. It is a fairly simple program. It's only 250, 300 lines of code, I believe. It's really not very large. Most of the screen layouts are stored in the MySQL database. There's actually a table that I call setup that stores all the header, footer, HTML, and you can embed variables in there, and those will be swapped in when it renders the page. So that's the header and footer elements that are in there. All the editing functions are in a single script. There's no user authentication on this. So if you're thinking about doing it, you're going to have to bring your own authentication and protect that editing script, and any other, if you want to, like for the overview script, if you want it protected, you'd have to also protect it. We have an in-house HTTP authentication system we call MyVol that we use to protect it. And all the room inventories, we have, like as we had pointed out earlier, we have a room database and an item database. I'll show you that in just a moment. And this links to any documentation system. And so we're using a fairly simplistic, generic content management system to hold the documentation. Chris has edited all that in there. And so this is the same thing as saying it does not include a documentation system. Go to the next slide. So there's 4 basic scripts that run this. The inventory inspection, which is what we spent most of our time in. The public room status, which is the one that was embedded into our standard web pages. It had the 3 photos down the left side is the public room script. And it's just pulled into the content management system with an include statement. And it only shows the items that are designated in the item database as public or list. This overview page, once again, I said, was intended for the supervisor or dean, and it shows all the discrepancies for all the items. And this report generator, and this is one area that I want to see some more development of this. For one, I do not have inventory reporting capability on this system. We are currently not putting the serial numbers or any of the other data into the database. That's something we may expand into later. But the report generator right now only lists all of the inspection lines, either for a single room or for all the rooms. Go to the next. This is just a very quick look at the database structure. Outside of that setup table that I mentioned before, there are 4 tables. This is a simple relational database with a rooms database items cross-linked with the inventory, and then each inspection is actually done to an item in inventory. And so there's a couple of little simple joins in the script, but it's not a real complicated script. And did I have something else? Is this the end of mine? Yes.
So anyways, we're just trying to get some ideas. And you see the basic shell, the skeleton that we've created for what we want to do and what meets our needs for us. But what are some things that you think of that you could use or tie into the system? We were thinking a couple things like, we have a link to our room reservation system, but you could link that in, and so, build that into the system instead of linking somewhere else, or you could tie it in with the help desk, so if someone does have a problem, they can report a ticket right there, straight from that page. Maybe interactive seating charts, hooking it up that way, so someone can generate a seating chart before they come to class using the room status pages. Or maybe an email notification, tying it into a mail or something to let all the faculty who are scheduled to teach in a particular room know when a room is having an issue. But they get a lot of emails, so might be better to do it in a digest, I guess.
We are looking at having this. We've just recently implemented an online help desk system, a new one, a different one. We're using Help Desk Pilot, and we are looking at the possibility that as soon as an inspection shows an item down, that it will send an email to the help desk system to generate a ticket, to have those discrepancies taken care of. That adds some complexity and also makes it kind of specialized. And so I'm a little hesitant to jump that way. It's not that we have that many discrepancies come up that can't manually go create a ticket at that point.
But if
Yes.
you have a lot more rooms, yeah.
You have in the wish list here connected to with an online interactive seating chart. And the previous screen you had a link to the
All of our seating charts are now PDF.
Yeah, they're not interactive. They don't generate Facebooks for class.
We do pull all of our student data from the university's class registration system. So we actually have in our database a list of every student who's in every class. And there is some possibility there to instead of linking to these PDFs, to link to a future online system. Could probably, I haven't looked at any of the commercial seating chart systems, but it's possible that you could tie to that. But then you'd have to figure out who the person is, who's, which professor it is.
Any questions about the system? Or again, it's very simple. It's just a skeleton, so you can build it out any way that you like and make it better.
I have a question and a comment. First of all, how the heck did you train your faculty to check a room status on their own?
We haven't very well.
I'm not saying that
Not very well. We've actually only launched the public system just a few weeks ago, the public-facing portion of it. This actually replaced...
Well, let's clarify that for status. But
For the status,
the
that's
help's
correct.
been up for several
The
months.
help has been up for several months, that is correct.
I do a lot of literally walking the halls. That's one of the things that I feel is really important is, we send a lot of emails out, we, deal with blogs and all that other stuff. But I found that actually just going and smiling at someone and saying, hey, we've got something that might help you out in class, it makes a big difference. They like to know right from the techie people what's happening, or from the instructional tech people.
But I think that in our case, what I'm saying is they would call us
Mhm.
and ask us, or expect that if something was down, that they would be notified. They would not pull that
Well,
information.
what I would suggest is maybe having your, whatever system you're using, like we use Altera, is just have the desktop support guys pop a link on their desktop. We've done that with training materials. They'll dump that out to all the faculty desktops, and we send them an email. You see a new icon on your desktop, click that puppy, and boom, it comes up, and they can see that, oh, wow, that's my room.
And the third or fourth time you've sent them to the web page to check it for themselves, they'll catch on. Or if you're right there in front of them, you go, okay, well, let's check. Click, click, click. Oh, yeah, we have, the remote's missing out of this classroom, but you can still push the button to make it work. That's a never-ending question. No technical system will ever fix that. The idea was that this would be very fast and to check. The first incarnation of the public status did not show any status next to the rooms. And realized rather quickly that a professor is 1/3 as likely to click each of 3 rooms that they teach in as they are to look at a single page where they can see all the rooms they teach in right off the bat. That was, but as I said, we have not really solved that problem completely. But I don't know, how often do we get a call? How you would field those calls?
Yeah, I usually get those calls, and like I said, I just get, do a preemptive strike whenever I can when we have something new. And, again, it just depends on how many people you have on staff and how many faculty you're dealing with. That may not be practical, but in our case, it actually is. And, they like to hear it straight from, someone in the department.
And then I had one other follow-up. Not all of our rooms have, it would be nice if they were all configured the same, but they're not. And so it would be nice if, in addition to this, I think it's a great system, and I hope that you can provide it to us. It would be nice if there was also a request built into this, so that if somebody wants a special piece of equipment, like
Like
an
suggestion
elbow or
thing?
whatever?
That's actually built into our room reservation system. That doesn't help for faculty members that are teaching in the room because the rooms are scheduled automatically off of the class listing. But if you see right here, it says that this rooms are reserved as part of the event submission system. This is a completely
Okay.
separate
I get it.
feed into our calendars.
And then the online.
Once you, yes, okay, we're going to look at this page. Oh, wait a minute, go back to the event. Let's just show them quickly the event submission system.
Okay.
And this is for student organizations. This is for outside people that want to use our rooms. And some of these items are for the public calendar entry. This is to book the room. And the third area is the technical support section of that. Now, this does send an email to our help desk system whenever our office administrator that handles the room booking request, when she approves the room, make sure that the calendar entry is reasonable to be posted on the public calendar, that the room is available, and she will double check on these items just to make sure that they fill this in. If they have filled in any of this section, it will then email to our help desk system and create a ticket.
Well,
So-
you can make that work with your own internal workflows, you know,
Right.
but with us, that's how it usually starts out. We have an admin person that is the approver, and then everything goes out from there.
We have a similar form, but faculty in general don't, if they're assigned to a room and they have a special need, like they need an Elmo for the day, then although we have this type of thing, they won't go to it. They will just call us. So it would be kind of cool if they could look at the room to see the status. That's the first challenge, to see the status of it, and then also just have something right there that says, no, I also need this piece of equipment. Just a thought.
That's worth putting into the mix and see how that would work out. There was somebody else back here. Were you still?
I'm just curious about the actual hardware in the room. Are you guys responsible for it? So the projection unit goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You buy
Yes.
one, you got an extra one in the closet somewhere, or?
Yes.
Yes. We're responsible for all the equipment in our classrooms. We have a classroom support.
It gets pretty expensive as well.
Yeah, we have to manage all our own classroom hardware.
Which is one reason why we needed this system.
We need
Yeah.
this badly, so.
You monitor the life of the bulb and, track that?
Our newer projectors are actually tied in through a network system,
Well, I
and,
can put
and
an IP address in there.
our system administrator can log in and actually see how many hours are on the bulb. I'm not sure, I'm not that involved in how much they do of that. You had a question?
What's the room availability system is out there? How do you do this?
It's actually meeting room booking systems, what we're using right now. I'm hoping to sort of evolve to something else, but we use meeting room booking system, but only a couple of administrators can get in and actually book a room. The link that we showed on the event submission form is only for them to link to see the availability of the room. It does not allow them to actually book the room through that.
Do you happen to do any closed caption services?
Funny you should ask that.
Somebody on as a reference to.
Student can't hear and we have to have some system so they can read it.
That would be interesting to type that in.
We have that coming up.
Right,
Had a good idea for that.
I have just started kind of a drive to get all of our web presentations captioned, and it's slow getting the shift in place. We have one professor now who does record most of his classes, but as of yet he's not captioned. He's not had a need to caption it. Well, I say a need. Those particular his class webcasts are behind password for only his students. So the captioning is going to become an issue, a major issue if he had a student who was deaf in his classroom. We are trying to get everything else captioned, all the public videos captioned. And I have found the captioning service is fairly reasonable, about $2 a minute to do captions, and they're quite good.
I have a quick question for our classroom support team. They'll want to know this. How many of you are struggling with not having non-standard rooms? You say have like 5 or 6 templates as opposed to 2 or 3 or for. We have a lot.
How many feel they need more technology in the classroom? That's okay, a fairly small number as well. Is there any other questions, thoughts, comments? Yes?
This event submission system is also your system. It's not tied to your enterprise data talent or
That's correct. The event submission system, when I came to the law school about 3 years ago, there was already an online calendar that was from an open source calendar, but it's been changed so much. The actual event submission page on the front end is something that I wrote, the public facing page is something that I wrote, that then when they're approved, they're put on the other calendar system. I don't know.
apologize, but I have one more.
Sure, go ahead. No.
And how do you dovetail those things that you think are true facilities versus technology?
I mean, like a
I mean,
mount
if
issue
you notice
as
the light
opposed to
bulb
the
being
projector.
out,
Yeah, that kind of thing.
or if you saw some other damage to the room.
When it gets reported, our classroom support person, when they pull up the report, when they start their day, so they can see what they have to fix for the rest of the week, if there's anything that's facilities related, they usually channel it at that point. But it would be just as wise to have the facilities person have access to it and have a special report that only pulls up issues that are specific to, like anything that's mounted in the room, things that they normally
We end
deal
up
with.
with rooms that like there's not the right number of chairs. Someone has mysteriously moved 12 chairs.
I don't think we inventoried the chairs, but we do have
I haven't done that yet.
we do have a category in our inspection system called fixtures, and that includes the light switch. That includes anything,
Yeah.
the phone, the telephone that's on the wall.
The projection screen we have, like if we have electronic or manual projection screen, we don't have drop-down electronic screens in all our rooms. In the major lecture halls we do, I think a couple seminar rooms, but you know, if you have the old-fashioned pull it down and make sure that when you pop it back up, you can still reach it later, we have those, so.
So at that point, it would just be manually creating a ticket, or I believe all of that type of facility stuff is still all done by telephone, if I'm correct in that, I believe.
One of the things that we're dealing with right now is our college is going to move into a new building in another couple of years. So it's a really tough challenge to say, do you want to, you have to decide when it's appropriate to keep funneling money and adding on a lot of new things to a building you're going to be going out of. Has anybody else had to deal with that issue of having to make that decision on whether or not, to go ahead and can we ride the tide, or do we keep, going ahead and trying to upgrade the rooms?
We're moving next summer, and we just have our budget doesn't get cut. We're having infrastructure for plugging in all the technology that has the budget sense. We probably will take a few years to add things. That our building having our payments going through our engineering program, but we don't want to spend all that money. And thankfully, it's cut the budget to where there's not a problem. Do you check anything out, like laptops, the faculty that go to conferences, outside of just the room?
Yes.
System to keep up with that?
As far as the system, though, I'm not sure what the guys are using. I don't think they have any web form that they're using.
Yeah,
That is a potential, maybe modifying this. Thinking about that.
Create a room called storage closet.
Yeah, we use all that.
So, okay. Any other questions?
I was just curious about your inspection schedule. How often do you guys do that?
Our room crew chiefs, I want to say that they have to check it at least once a week, maybe twice a week, whenever they're scheduled. They usually come in and work the phones so that they're there if someone calls from the classrooms for help, for things that they didn't pick up on an inspection. And during that time frame, they can check the schedule, see when a room's available, and they go to their assigned rooms and do it. So I would say, probably about at least once a week, maybe twice.
They do also staff the computer lab. And so that, they have to leave the computer lab unattended during that time. And and obviously making this web-based, they have to fire up the podium, the computer anyway. So one addition I'm going to add to this that won't be part of the public-facing portion of this is that I'm going to I'm going to have my web server identify the classroom from the name of the computer and throw them directly to the inspection form for just that room. And then that will be really the only access that they will have to this system. So they can't go back and do anything else. They can only do that. They can't go inspect all 4 rooms from the same spot. They have to physically be in the room. And if they can't get the PC up and get an internet connection to the web server, they better be getting on the phone and calling the tech people to come take care of that right away, because that would be disaster.
Have you thought about aggregate data that you could process, years out from now, like in classroom 100, the remote always has problems, or these kinds of things. Does your database keep a record of all of the problems that you're having?
It keeps all the inspections, and you can again pull that out in a spreadsheet and do some statistical analysis on it. It's really nice just from the reports. It's nice to know that every week you can spot whether, hey, we put this particular brand of wireless remote in and it's messing up in all the classrooms, so you can do a little trending with the new equipment that you put in a room.
I'm a little hesitant to do a lot of reporting online, crunching of data like that, even though this runs on a secondary web server, an auxiliary web server. It's not our main server. I'm a little hesitant to go there, partly because those tend to end up being very specific, to answer one specific question, and it may not be the question that you're going to be asking. If there were some specific questions that you would want to answer in this, that may be a possibility of that. I'm a big advocate of downloading it into Excel and running from there, or Access, or whatever. And once you have that data down there, you can do whatever you want with it. You can pull it into SPSS and run a statistical analysis on from there. But if someone's wanting to write a report module that or a trending module to add to this, I don't see whether that would be a really good problem. We want to keep it simple on the general end, but there's nothing stopping us from adding that kind of a module onto the admin screen. I wanted to go through the process. I don't know that you really showed off your documentation.
It's just a generic.
But just to show how we expect people to use this. Once you go into a room, and then the question marks.
We even have one for the phone, because believe it or not, we get questions, where's the phone in this room? Even though we've got them right on the wall by the podium, that comes up a lot. So like a laptop connection,
Sure.
So we have several generations of podiums, of classroom podiums, because we upgraded over a period of years. So depending on the room, you'll see a different type of laptop connection. Like this is a first generation podium. So we have the cables in the drawer, and the power and everything's on the side. So for our later rooms, which, like for example, on our 6th floor, which are the newer rooms, which we're having a few problems with. There. I have because like I said, you can add in an equipment type, and you can help for the different types. Even though it's a laptop connection, you can make as many different item types as you like, and then associate them with different rooms, so you can make sure the proper help documentation goes for the right room and the equipment available.
Another little lesson learned about the documentation. This is sitting in a content management system. We would actually generate a dynamic expanding menu here that would go as many levels as we needed to go. It also generates these breadcrumbs across the top, which on most screens fits on one line. The issue with having the expanding menus is people are not going to find necessarily what they're looking for, and if they do, they may actually find the wrong version. They may find the one that's not associated with that particular room. And so we opted to not have the expanding, to suppress the expanding menus. So even though this isn't a hierarchy and it is organized into a content management system, you may want to consider not having navigation into it directly, but instead tie it back to the rooms, especially if you have these rooms that are evolving. I mean, if you have all one, everything has a crestron in it, and you don't have any extrons, then okay, fine. You might be able to do that, but you don't want to confuse people by them going down the wrong path and getting the wrong documentation.
For example, here are the podiums real quick. Our old first generation podiums with the big old Symposium units. and then we went to a smaller second generation podium, third generation podium, and then we have our courtroom podiums, which use the restaurants because they control video systems in that room.
Can you go back one page for just a second?
Sure.
The documentation does not actually have this item in the room number in the actual tree hierarchy. That's actually done a little smoke and mirrors as this page is being pulled up. It gives you a link back to what appears to be that everything below this is actually in room 653. But it gives a way to get back to the classroom. If you click on 653, it takes you right back to the listing of all the items in room 653. But that's not part of the system.
Is anyone else using Symposiums or using smart boards using Symposium? We had fun. We still have two. We're trying to upgrade so we have all newer ones, but
how many of you think you might be interested in actually participating in this project, either to use the system, or first, who might be interested in using the system? Wow, okay. How many of you think that you might be able to contribute in the further development of it? Okay, I'm encouraged, thank you. We are setting up a SourceForge page. It's actually live. I will be putting a link to that on the wiki for the conference. I'll go and put the link up there and keep the status update there. From that link, you can sign up on the SourceForge site, and I will send out announcements via the SourceForge site on version upgrades or well, the first announcement will be that legal came through and said we can. I was told that we could. That they did not see there would be any issue at all with this. It has no real commercial viability unless somebody wants to set up a support group, a support tech team to, sell this and market it and install it. And I just don't think I don't know there's a market for it. I mean, how many of you would pay $5,000 for this system? Or who would pay $2,000? I don't really know that it's commercially viable. I just don't think that it is. And of course, it's applicable outside of law schools. This is not law school specific. But I did want to kind of put a disclaimer on this. I'm going to put it on SourceForge, and I'm going to try to check SourceForge weekly, and I'm going to try to answer questions as best I can on this. But our system administrator got stolen by University of South Florida, and so we're all doing double and triple duty right now, trying to get our projects up, including the project we're going to present next year, which is our classroom video recording system.
Okay.
I'm being optimistic that we're going to be presenting that next year. But that was a project that system administrator was working on before he left, so we will see how we pick up the pieces and continue to run forward with that. If you check the wiki, I'll put the link to the SourceForge site on there before the end of this week, and the wiki for our presentation. And we're going to put our slides up there and example of your documentation for the system.
I just put together some quick documentation, mostly for your end users. Just going to put it.
Well, you had a printout copy of it.
Yeah, I got a printout. Oh wait, I think I could put it on my desktop.
Chris definitely does good documentation. She actually.
I paid Earl to say that.
She gets all the steps in there. I'm like, I skip from step 3 to step 7, and
I have two pieces. One, which is, if you're interested in, is the instructions for our GRAs on how to fill out the form, and then I have the regular manual for everybody else who's using it. So it just kind of goes over the overview and the icons, and how to add things in. So we'll put that out there too. So.
I believe we can attach files to the wiki, so we can put it there, and also we'll have this documentation on the SourceForge site at some point as well.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
I hope this has been helpful for you and generated some ideas for